Hi guys, my name is Anna. You know how it is by now. This is my review of Singles Inferno Season 3, episodes 8 to 9. And these two episodes, a lot happened, I feel like. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. We start off episode 8 with Gwanhee picking Minji to go to paradise with him. I thought it was going to be Haesun, but no, Gwanhee was Gwanhee and he picked Minji. And you can see the pained smile on Haesun's face and Hajeong's face also looking very sad. And then the panel basically take every chance they can to roast Gwanhee. They really don't like him, I feel like. And they say, oh, he's the only guy that's gotten to know basically every single woman this season. And I'm sure he's had loads of fun and has had no regrets. And as for the other couples, Mingyu chooses Cutie and Wanik chooses Xian. And obviously Minu and Xian, actually, they're both bummed about this. I can't hate on Wanik trying to go after his own heart because in the end, that's what he's here to do. But it kind of seemed to everyone watching while they were in paradise that she was not into Wanik. She really only wants to get to know Minu. She is saying how regretful it is that she didn't get to have enough time with Minu. So Wanik, I'm so sorry. I know you're trying your best too, but have some nunchi and just realize like this girl is not into you. I'm sorry. And also, I just find it hilarious anytime on any of these seasons when I see girls, they're in a deserted island. When I see them walking around with their Chanel flat bags around the island, I'm just like, are you in the middle of Gangnam or in New York? Like, what are you going to use your designer purse for here? It just looks so out of place. And even when you're going to paradise, I know that all the other production staff are going to be carrying your stuff for you. But to carry your Chanel flat bag in the island just looks so like out of place to me. I don't know. And then you see Minyoung and Jinseok giggling together, and I think for these two it will be endgame, especially after how she behaved last week. She kind of act like a scorned ex-wife, and so I think that kind of scared Minji off, because then you see Minji going all in at Gwanhee. You see them in paradise. She makes it very clear that she's into him. She comes out wearing her pajamas, which turns out to be this like backless purple nighty dress. The panel make a comment like, oh, those are her pajamas, we see. I mean, girl is trying her best. She's trying to rizz him up, you know, she's trying to win him over. You can't really hate on her for that. But I must say, I did change my mind about Minji after these two episodes, but we'll talk about that more in a second. And it's clear that Mingyu is into Cutie, but he asks her, who did you cheer on during the race? And she was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. And he was like, he knows the answer. She's not that into him. I feel so bad for Mingyu because I also think he's such a decent guy. It just hasn't locked out for him. But if I were in there, I would have definitely gone for either Jinseok or Mingyu, those two. Also, the panel making fun of Cutie blinking slowly like a doe. It's hilarious because she does do that. She blinks very slowly. But yeah, no romantic feelings between Cutie and Mingyu. I think she is very much into Minu. And Minji is all out with all her flirting one-liners. Like, tell me I look pretty today. Do I look like a flower? She asks him, what is your ideal type? And he said, oh, someone who's cute and bubbly and all this. And she's like, that's basically me. Pick me. And Minji was basically making it very clear that she likes Gwanhee more than Jinseok. I think Jinseok is out of her focus now. They start talking about the future, her maybe going to some of his basketball games. And then you see back in Inferno, Hajeong is talking to Minyoung and she's saying she wishes that Gwanhee, after he's done all his exploring, in the end eventually would come back to her. And I love my girl Hajeong, but at this point I don't think he's gonna do that, and I really think you deserve better anyway. She still likes him so much, you can tell. And I'm sorry, the little stroll around their hotel room that Gwanhee and Minji did, it was kind of cringy and like kind of difficult for me to watch. It looked like they were having a fun time, but I was just like, oh, this is a little bit cringe. And then you have the shot of people talking back at Inferno. And Hajeong is joking around saying that Wanik should have taken her to paradise instead, and so she could have eaten good. And Jinseok says to Hajeong, you have a great personality, you're really funny. And I just love the like sibling vibe that they have going on between them. Later on, he also gives her a pep talk. You can see Hajeong is really down and he's like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, just go with how you feel. And he's just very supportive, not just with Hajeong but with everybody. Jinseok is the man. But yeah, Wanik really should have taken that advice and he should have taken Hajeong instead of Xian, because that girl did not want to be there. They all come back the next morning, and as soon as Gwanhee comes back to Inferno, he's asking the others about Haesun. Was she okay last night? Did she talk to anybody? Haesun has caught on to the fact that Minji really likes Gwanhee, and also there's a shot of Hajeong saying, oh, I don't think Minji would have made much of an impact impact on Gwanhee. She's not important. And I was like, girl, you're kind of in the wrong there. She did kind of make an impact. And it was weird seeing Hajeong in this upset state. And she's even getting advice from Minyoung, whereas usually the other way around. She's the one being so strong and like giving advice to everyone else. But in these two episodes, you can really tell that she's down and she's upset. And I was like, oh, girl, like, no, please don't be like this. He's not worth it. And then there's another round of games, and it's another girls' game, and they do a chicken fight. And the top 3 final girls end up being all of Gwanhee's girls, Gwanhee's derby, as he said. And Haesun ended up winning, but the most dumbfounding moment here was when Minji started crying after she had lost the game. And I was kind of shocked at this. I was like, why is this girl crying right now? She's throwing like a childlike tantrum. It was totally uncalled for. I did not understand why she started crying right there. I also felt for Hajeong because you can tell she really tried to win in this game. They were all battling it out to the death. Gwanhee was standing there enjoying it so much. But yeah, Hajeong, she got second and Haesun ended up winning first. And then next scene, Minwoo and Siyeon end up going for a separate chat, and you can tell her face just lights up when she's with Minwoo. It's different to when she's with Wonhee. They're super cute together actually, and they kind of start expressing their feelings to each other outright. He's saying, I want to stay in Inferno tonight, I don't want to go to Paradise. And then she says, I think Inferno will basically be Paradise, I don't care about going to a nice place and all this. And he said, my mind is made up, I don't need to go talk to anyone else. And they seem like they're set, you know. And then Minji and Gwanhee are together again, and she gives him the letter. It basically says, there's no one else for me, you're my number one. And they're discussing about who's gonna get to go to Paradise later. Gwanhee obviously knows that he might be going with Haesun, and he says to Minji like, hey, if you're gonna go with a guy, I'd rather you pick Jinseok instead of Mingyu, because me and Jinseok are buddies and he tells me everything, and Mingyu and the other guys are slightly more mysterious, so I'd much prefer it if you go to Paradise with Jinseok rather than anybody else. And she's like, oh really? She was also explaining, if I go with Mingyu, it's just gonna be like complete friend vibes because I feel nothing for him, but her and Jinseok did have like some sort of a thing earlier. But Gwanhee says, no, I'd rather you go with Jinseok, which I didn't understand. Hajeong talks to Gwanhee, and this was a much needed talk. She basically asks him how he's feeling, and he says after they argued, he did start to feel distant from her. To be honest, I just don't think he just likes her as much as the other girls, whether it's because of an argument reason or he feels distant or whatever. Simple fact of the matter is he just prefers Haesun or Minji to Hajeong, and you can just tell in her face she's kind of devastated, and she still tells him that she wants him to pick her in the final. I don't think that's gonna happen. And like the most frustrating thing about Gwanhee is that even the girls, at least they have a backbone. When they like someone, they will go for the guy and they'll be expressive with how they're feeling towards the guy. But Gwanhee, it feels like he has no independent thought or independent desires of himself. He's making his decisions based on how the girls are to him. And it's really comparable to season 2 Dex. He did not act like this. He liked Sugi the whole time. He went for her. Other girls might have tried to talk to Dex, but he was all about Sugi in the end. But Gwanhee is just as serious as like a feather. He just does not feel like a man to me. I really find him so unattractive. At least be like Minwoo and just make it clear to one girl like, hey, I like you. Oh, but with Minwoo, we have to pause on that because we're going to talk about Minwoo in a sec later. And Gwanhee, considering the fact that he's 36, he just wants constant validation from these girls all the time. You like me, right? You like me more than him, right? It feels like he has low self-esteem. He can't make a decision for himself unless he has this validation from people. So yeah, he's interesting. And then you see Gwanhee coming into the boys' room and he talks to the boys about how his mind was pretty made up on Minji after they had come back from Paradise. But after he had talked to Haesun in her room, now he's confused again. And all the boys are like, oh my god, you're impossible. And then it's time for the girls to make the decision on who they're going to take to Paradise. And Haesun picks Gwanhee, of course. And Hajeong, who came second, she picks Habin, which means dude gets to go to Paradise for the first and last time this season. We'll finally get to know what he does for a living next episode. Minji ends up picking Mingyu to go to Paradise with her. And Jinseok kind of looked disappointed, but he was just like, okay, whatever. And then the scene that caused the most ruckus, you see the 3 couples, they're all riding in the same helicopter to get taken to Paradise. And as they're in the air, Minji starts poking Gwanhee and like looking at him with teary eyes, and he's like not responding to her because obviously Haesun is right next to him. And she starts actually crying her eyes out in this helicopter, and Mingyu sees this, and I just got the biggest ick from her at this point because I was like, you're acting like a child with a tantrum. You're crying because things are not going your way, and you have a partner that is sitting sitting right next to you, and even though he's being so nice, he even let her wipe her tears with his own shirt that he was wearing. Like, what kind of guy does that? It was absolutely disrespectful to Mingyu to start crying about the guy sitting right next to you. And yeah, I really got turned off of Minji at this point. And even Habin saw, he noticed, and Hajeong and Haesun, both girls, they were just looking out the window. They kind of looked fed up of the whole situation. Mingyu is just the nicest boy. He has been to paradise twice now with girls who liked other guys and they were just ranting to him. And it was interesting to see the difference in Minji's pajamas. For the day with Gwanhee, she was wearing that purple nighty dress, and while in the paradise with Mingyu, she has her hair tied up and she's wearing a t-shirt. I would pick you, Mingyu. I would pick you. And then you see Gwanhee and Haesun, they're in paradise and they say, okay, now we're finally back together here in this location after 6 days of being apart. And I just had to roll my eyes when he was saying, because you went to paradise with Gwanhee and then Minji came in and approached me, and so my feelings were all over the place. And I'm sorry, but I just rolled my eyes so hard. He always just like to place blame on everything but himself. And to be honest, I had respect for Haesun and the other girls in this season, because she explains to him, no matter what the outcome, even if things don't end up good between me and you, she said, I'm just gonna follow my heart and just continue to pick you to the end. And then the teasers for the next 2 final episodes, oh my gosh, it looks like there's going to be a lot of drama. So first of all, we have Gwanhee being messy again, because you see him after he comes back from paradise with Haesun, he going straight to Minji and being like, oh, I find myself leaning towards you. I wanted to be next to you. And it's just like, Gwanhee, oh my god, nobody can take this man seriously at all. And then he says this line where he's like, my ideal type is actually more close to Minji, but if I had to marry a girl, Haesun is more marriage girl material. And I'm sorry, but that's just so offensive to both girls involved. He should not have said this out loud. He just should not speak. And then you see a shot of Haesun going like, then you should just pick Minji, because I don't want to be with a person who doesn't know what he wants, while he's pulling that stupid face again. I hate that face, I'm sorry. And I'm glad that Haesun is standing up for herself. I really don't want her to be with Gwanhee in the end at this point. I actually think him and Minji, they should just be together. That might be the best outcome. I want Haesun and Hajeong to just be better off without Gwanhee. And then, oh my goodness, there's a new drama with Minu, Cutie, and Xian, because you see a shot of Cutie saying to Minu like, you're actually more like Gwanhee than I thought. And it seems like he's being swayed again after he promised Xian like, my mind is set on you. And then you see a shot of Xian crying in her room, and it's like, oh my god, who's he gonna pick? Is he gonna be swayed too? Literally, I have no idea who's gonna pick who for the final. I think Jinseok Minyoung is pretty much set. I feel sorry for Habin and Wonnik and Mingyu. I'm just gonna have to deal with Gwanhee's satisfied face, having 3 beautiful girls chased him this whole season, which really infuriates me. So my final thoughts on these 2 episodes, I just can't relate to any of the crying. What is that gonna achieve? And when Minji first came in, I originally thought she was really bubbly and sweet, but I kind of find her annoying now. Yeah, Gwanhee honestly is the most unattractive man to me. But I must say, and everyone has said in the comments too, if it wasn't for Gwanhee, this season would not have been interesting. He makes up like 70% of the drama. So at least for entertainment purposes, he is good for this season. Let's talk about predictions for final couples, because next week is the finale. I kind of want Gwanhee to be with Minji and the other girls to just be like, bye-bye. But yeah, let's talk in the comments. What do you think? And of course, I will be doing a review of next week too. So stay tuned and see you in the next one. Bye!